Hello everyone on YouTube. This is a stream. I'm streaming this into my Discord. I have a Discord for people that own one of my books, and every week, maybe once, sometimes twice a week, I stream for the book owners, and I answer questions or I demonstrate a concept that we were talking about in Discord, or maybe somebody uploaded a video of them playing and I can comment on that, give some tips or give some praise or some criticism if it's needed. But it's all to become better players, including myself. And I just finished my 7th book, and that book is about late Django, because some people ask me about, okay, are these books meant to be used in orders? Should I start with book 1 and then book 2, book 3, book 4? Well, you could do that, of course, but in fact, it's better to just look at the titles of the book and then see, okay, oh, this book is about this subject. For example, book 4 is about bebop. So if you're not interested in bebop, that's not the best book for you at least not the best book for you to start with. If you're only interested in bebop, that would be the best book. Book 3 is about Django in the 30s. So if you don't like the old style Django, then don't use that book. And my latest book is about Django in the 40s and 50s. And then all my books follow the same kind of form or methodology, right? So I have different chapters, and each chapter codifies and categorizes phrases played on a certain progression. For instance, a 2-5-1. So in the key of C, you have like D minor 7, G7, C, right? And then I show you for 2-5-1s, it's a lot of phrases. I categorize them per position on the guitar neck so that they are really nicely laid out. I mean, I'm not going to explain it completely, but let's say there is like, I don't know, for 2-5-1s, it's probably 40 or something, 40 2-5-1s. And then I show them slowly, but then I also give you an exercise to play them on a backing track in all 12 keys, in a certain order, in a certain way. And that is for you to master the phrases, to play them correctly with good technique, with good timing. That's an important focus. And there's a system for you to recall the phrases. So because that's the important thing, you need to be able to kind of feel the phrases like they're your own. So that book is all about that, and it gets harder and harder. And when you finish a chapter, you can put a video in the Discord, send me a video, and then I say, okay, this is good. You can go to the next chapter if you want to. You don't have to, of course. But one thing that the book doesn't really address directly is, okay, how do you become a great improviser? Now that you know all of these phrases, or maybe a selection of phrases, how do you become a good improviser with that vocabulary? And I showed that in live streams. But you can only see that if you already own a book. So I can imagine that you first want to see more of that before you commit to a book. Because it is a commitment. I'm telling you right now, it's not a book that you just buy and then you read a couple of pages, then you put it down. No, there's a whole system behind it in multiple ways. But one way is, of course, the methodology behind the practicing. It really forces you to practice a lot, but I give you the tools to do that, right? I give you backing tracks on YouTube or backing tracks in Guitar Pro 8 so you can make loops. And there's a whole community with 1,000 people right now on Discord. And lots of people, hundreds of people are doing it also, and they talk about it and you can watch videos. So now, why am I doing this stream? So this stream I'm doing to show you a concept, and I wanted to have it in a fun format, because I could do my old format and show you some phrases and improvise. But I've been watching for the past 3 years, I've been watching a lot of chess streamers. So these are chess players, like highest level chess players, GMs or IMs. And they take a certain opening, because in chess you have many openings. They all have names. Sometimes it's a funny name, sometimes it's a name nobody knows why it's called that, right? Like the Vienna Gambit or something. And then they take that opening, and an opening is a set of ideas that you can do on the chessboard, and they play that in a stream against players of different levels. They start at a very low level, and then they try to level up with the opening themselves by winning. And by watching that as a chess noob like me, you learn a lot about that opening. You learn a lot about chess, and it's also very enjoyable to watch, especially if the chess streamer is a good chess player, but also a good streamer. And I enjoyed that format. So I was like, okay, how can I maybe copy that format and put it into a jazz guitar or Gypsy jazz guitar? And that's not just something I want to do. It's because my whole methodology is based on a gamification of learning to play jazz guitar. In fact, in my Discord, if you level through a book, you will get a title in the Discord that is related to chess. For instance, the highest title you can get in chess is GM, Grandmaster. And in my Discord, it's Jazz Grandmaster, JGM. There's even Jazz Super Grandmasters when you finish a book completely. So it's not it's not random. There is a tie-in actually to chess with my methodology. So here is the idea. I take a book of mine, and of course now I'm going to do the latest book, but in the future I might do a different book. And I kind of randomly pick some phrases, some ideas, you could call them ideas, and put them together, and we call that an opening, like chess. This is a set of ideas, and I give it a name. So this is my first opening I made, and I call it Italian Game, and that is it looks weird, Italian. Is that spelled correctly? I guess so. It looks weird. Italian Game is not a random name. I call it that because this is the first opening I made, right? And the first chess opening, or one of the oldest openings, is also called Italian Game. Plus, many of these phrases come from the Rome recordings, the recordings that Django made in Rome, which is in Italy. So there is some connection between the name and what's here. So what I did is I went through my latest book, book 7, which you cannot get yet. It's finished, but I'm going to launch it 1 week before Black Friday. So I don't know when you're watching this, but it's November 4th, 2025 right now. So in about like 2 weeks, I'll publish it. I took some phrases, and I took some phrases that I think would fit together, and that would be very handy to improvise on tunes. So I took a major phrase here. I took a bluesy phrase. I took a 2-5-1, a major 2-5-1. I took a minor 2-5-1, a dominant chain, which is a combination of 2 dominant chords. So in this case, G7, C7. A turnaround, which is F6, D minor 7, G minor 7, C7, F. And there's also a 5-chord before it. And I took Christophe changes, which is the last 8 bars of many tunes, like All of Me, Chicago, I Can Give You Anything But Love. I'll explain more about that later. And I took those phrases, they're literally from my book. The only thing I did is I transposed them to the key of F. And why did I do that? Because I'm going to start this speedrun with the tune Chicago. And in the next episode, I'm going to do another tune and make it harder and harder, or more interesting tunes. Although Chicago is an interesting tune, but like different kinds of tunes. So you can see how this would work on different progressions. Now, I'm not going to play a solo only using these phrases, because that's not the point when you buy a book of mine. The point of the book is not to replace whatever you're currently playing, it's to add to it. So I'm going to first introduce you to all of these phrases. So this first phrase here, by the way, this is in the program called Guitar Pro 8. So if you buy a book of mine, you get everything in PDF, but you can also get everything in Guitar Pro 8, which is very handy because Guitar Pro 8 can actually play the phrase for you. I mean, it's not the best sound, right? And I also show it in the video. But if you want to practice along, you can check if you play the correct notes, stuff like that. You can slow it down, speed it up, transpose very easily. So this first phrase is a very long phrase in F, 4 bars, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I remember from which solo this is. This is the opening phrase of Django solo on After You've Gone from the Rome session. So look it up. Of course, he plays it in C, so it starts like this. That's the way he starts the solo. It's just a major scale, but it starts on the major 7 and ends on the 9. So that's a good idea right there. Because you play a major scale, but you don't start on the root. You don't end on the root, but you start on the major 7, you end on the 9. And so this is the first phrase. It's very long, but we don't have to play the whole thing. We could only play the scale going up. Right? Or only the part going down. Or maybe we can start the scale in the middle. Maybe we could start the scale, let's say, we don't want to start here, of course, because now we're starting on the root, but we could start the scale here on the D, right? Or we could play the scale going down. But then you're really changing the idea maybe too much. So I want to keep it ascending. So first step would be to practice that on the backing track. And I'd say we could just loop these 2 bars so we have F all the time, right? Stream, let me know if the sound of the backing track is not too loud or too soft. Okay. So I'm gonna just play the phrase. Let's just play the scale up. Just the part down. Let's start the scale halfway. Maybe we could repeat some notes like this. Maybe change the rhythms. Right, so the point is also not, let me stop the backing track. The point is also not to play exactly what Django played. You know, that's kind of like chess. You don't want to play exactly the moves like it's written in the book, right? Because you also have to react to what the opponent is doing. And he might do a crazy move and you cannot move your knight now because you will lose it. You have to do something else. But you still know the ideas of the opening. So you still know this idea. It's like an ascending scale and then you play kind of arpeggio phrase down based on a D-7 arpeggio. So that's the idea. Okay, I'm going to first introduce all the phrases and then we're going to play some solos. So the next phrase is a bluesy phrase. And Django had lots of bluesy phrases, a very typical sound. And it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3. So there's a quarter triplet in the last bar. And by the way, all the other notes, also in the blues phrase, they are swing eighth notes. So that's very important. When I practice, I want to make sure that I swing all the notes. So I'm not playing straight. I'm not playing 1, 2, 3. No, I don't want to play do da do da. I want to play do da do da do da. Long short, long short, long short. But the quarter triplet is not swing eighth note, so I have to play a correct triplet there. Very important. So when you practice, always think about the swing. You want to be very consistent. So let's see what this phrase sounds like. This is also for F major. So we play it here. You could also play it an octave higher. Right? And now we could repeat maybe the first bar like this. But you can be creative with it. Lots of possibilities. By the way, we played it in 2 different octaves, but I guess we could also do that with the first phrase, of course, because it's quite high in the key of F. We could also play it in the first position, but then we have some open strings, so you would get... Sometimes it's nice to also figure stuff out with open strings. We could play the scale up. We cannot play the lick down. Oh, we could, but then we change the fingering, and we want to avoid that because we would get confused. We want to try to keep kind of the same flow of the phrases on the fretboard. Okay, let's go to the next phrase. Here we have our first 2-5-1. And this is a kind of a peculiar 2-5-1. I know this is from the solo of Embraceable You. I don't think he played it in Rome. No, this is not in Rome. This is before the Rome sessions, somewhere in the 40s, end of the 40s, I think. And it's a peculiar phrase because it's a very chromatic phrase. It's not something that Django did a lot. But if you hear it in the solo, it sounds very organic. So that's why I put it in the book. It sounds like this. So we got a 2-5-1 to F. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's it. And the swing is very important. Da da do da do da do, the long short long short long. Very easy to be creative with this. But it's a chromatic skill, so. But I think you should be careful with the 251 to change it too much, especially with this many notes, because you don't have unlimited time, of course. But this part, the ending, I could imagine you play or something like that. Again, that is something that you just figure out, experiment during the improv part. We will get there. Yeah, let me show you what it sounds like on the backing track. So we loop a 251. Now, Chicago doesn't have a 251, it has 551. But that's the same thing. So let's say we loop this part here. Let's be creative. Rennie says, I joined a bit late. Just want to see if I understand it correctly. Each song is like a different chess match with increasingly challenging songs analogous to increasingly stronger players. Yes, something like that. And then I have an opening. Right now I have the Italian game. But I want to do different opening, different combinations. And I also then in the end maybe want to combine. Say, let's, you know, of course it's kind of weird that we give the name. But not really, because giving names to things like this really enforces your memory or reinforces the muscle in your brain that remembers things, right? I think, oh yeah, I remember this phrase from the Italian game. That's also why the chess openings have names, because if you play the King's Indian Defense, you remember, you tie the King's Indian Defense to certain moves. Like, okay, I want to not move my center pawns, right, until I can attack some pawns in the middle of my opponent. Like the name is tied to certain moves, so we can tie this name now to certain phrases. Maybe it works. So this is the first time, but I think it's a nice idea. Okay, so that's the minor. Now we have the minor 251. It's a really nice phrase. This is from the Rome sessions. I think you played this on minor string. So a 251 to D minor, because Chicago has a 251 to D minor. Sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and. Very nice phrase. The idea is you play E half diminished arpeggio down, and now you play an E flat major arpeggio. So that's the tritone of A7. And Chicago, there is actually a 251 to D minor. Again, it's a 551, but it doesn't matter. Let's be creative. Yeah, very nice phrase. Okay, we're almost there. Dominant chain. Now this is quite high if we played like it's written here. Of course, we could find another fingering for that. But again, I want to keep it like this, because when we play other tunes and we play it in different keys, then it would be no problem. So we're going to play it like this, like it's written here. 3, 4. But if we play it octave lower, it's no problem. Oh, we have some open strings. Sorry. But let's say we played D7 to G7, then it would be here. And I'm not a big fan of changing fingerings for different keys because that will just complicate things. We want to keep it simple. That's just like chess, right? You want to keep the ideas simple so that you can remember them. You don't want to learn too many sidelines, at least not at first when you learn an opening. Okay, let me show you that on the recording here on the backing track. So we have the dominant chain right here, 2 bars G7, 2 bars to C7. Low. Yeah. Now you might be very observant and see, oh wow, but isn't this also just a 2-5-1 or 5-5-1? Yes, it is. Many or all dominant chains, they end in a way that you could also play a 2-5-1 phrase, right? But that's gives us options. And now we have a turnaround. The turnaround is this part, right? So that goes like this: 1, 2, 3, 4. I think this is from the Rome sessions. It's a very nice idea. You get this sound, which is like a F sharp 7, or you could say C whole tone sound, right? But there's also, it starts with this F sharp, so it sounds a lot like F sharp 7 flat 5. Again, that's the tritone of C7. Now I put a 5 phrase before it because usually turnarounds are preceded by a 2-5-1 or a 5-5. And I always recommend practicing a turnaround with a 5 phrase before it, because otherwise you're probably never going to play the turnaround, because then you play another 2-5-1 phrase and then there's no more time for the turnaround. So when you practice a turnaround, if you have a specific turnaround phrase, practice with a 5 chord in front of it. Now about the turnaround, it has these 4 chords here, right? 1, 6, 2, 5. F6, D minor 7, G minor 7, C7. But remember, a 2-5-1 is just, or a turnaround in the most basic form is just 1 bar of the 1 chord, 1 bar of the 5 chord, and then we go back to 1. So 1-5-1. So an F would be F, C7, F. That's a turnaround. And it doesn't matter what kind of variation you might be using. You could be using F, D minor, G minor, C7, or you could just do a typical Django thing is to play F, D flat 7, C7, or F, B7, C7. That's typical Django. There's also the Ted Dameron turnaround, which is F, A flat, D flat, G flat. It doesn't really matter what kind of turnaround is required by the tune. You could always play any turnaround phrase, because in the end, it's just 1-5-1 with variations. Now, of course, you could follow a specific turnaround. Say, okay, I'm really going to try to outline the chords that are in this turnaround, but you don't have to. And Django also didn't do that. So here we have a nice idea. I mean, this doesn't follow the chords at all. It's 1 bar of F major 7 and 1 bar of F sharp 7 flat 5. And the 5 phrase before it sounds like this: 3, 4. And I just put the 5 phrase there. It's something that Django played, but this combination is something that I just made up for the book to give you a good way to practice it. Let me play it. So here we have, remember here we had the dominant chain, but also this is a 5-5-1 and the turnaround, because we have 1, 5, 1, right? So we could play the phrase right here. Nice, right? One more time. Let's be creative. Okay, last phrase is Christophe Changes. So Christophe Changes is the final 8 bars of many tunes. Now that name Christophe Changes, or Christophe, is something that I think came into this world because of Roman, but maybe he got it from someone else, and I picked it up from him. And I started using that a lot, but apparently nobody was using it. But now many people are using that name also because of my YouTube channel. So I call it Christophe Changes, but in the UK, they sometimes refer to it as the horse, because it's the final 8 bars of the form, and the horse brings you back home, right, on top of the form. And it always starts on the 4 chords. So in the key of F would be B flat. And then you get some diminished chord, B diminished, or you get B flat minor. And then you go to the 1 chord, F, and then you get a dominant chain starting on the 6th degree. So in F would be D, so D7, G7, C7, so 3 dominants, F. That is one form of Christophe Changes, but there's many variations. But it's the same thing with the turnaround. You can take any Christophe Changes phrase that you know and play them on top of any of the variations. Sometimes there might be a little bit of a clash, but it's not really a problem. And that's because the functions behind Christophe Changes is just 4, 4, 1, 1, 5, 5, 1, 1. So for the key B flat, that means 2 bars of B flat, and then 1, so 2 bars F, and 2 bars the 5 chord, so C7, and then back to F. So B flat, F, C7. Now let me play variation, the one that's here on the screen. Here's another variation. You might say, oh, that sounded very different. Well, these are actually the changes that I'm going to play it over, Chicago. And in Chicago, let me show you. You get this here. You get G minor, and then G sharp diminished. If you really think about it, that is the same chords as B flat and B diminished, because B flat major, B flat 6, the notes in that are B flat, D, F, and G. B flat, D, F, and G. If I say those notes starting on a G, I would get G, B flat, D, F. And what is that? That's G minor, G minor 7. So this G minor or G minor 7 is the same as B flat. It's just an inversion. And G sharp diminished, it's the same chords, of course, as B diminished. So those are the same chords, it's just different bass notes. Now let me show you the Christophe Changes phrase. Sounds like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Let me do it again. 3, 4, 1. Typical Django, and it's all those sweeps, right? Which of course he was playing with 2 fingers. Like that. And the thing about those sweeps is that it's very difficult to keep control of the swing, because you want to still have those swing 8th notes, long, short, long, short, long. So you got to control the way you sweep. Long, short, long, short, long. So you got to practice that. Let me show you what it sounds like on the backing track. Here we go. Repeat. Alright, the swing. So you got to Okay. Now we have all the phrases. So let me play for you one chorus where I don't play anything else but the phrases. Of course, I cannot play all of them. Can I? I'll try to play all of them. All right, here we go. Two, 5, 1. Bluesy. dominant chain. Bluesy. Two, 5, 1, minor. Christophe changes. I didn't play the turnaround, so let me do one more time with the turnarounds. Okay, I think I played all phrases now. By the way, for the chat, is the sound, my guitar compared to the backing track is okay? I hope so. Normally I check it before the stream, but I forgot to do it now. I hope it's good. Okay, so now I played all the phrases one after another. It's not very organic, right? It's not the way you want to do it. Now, what you want to do is you want to start improvising. And you want to try to play at least 2 of the phrases in each chorus. Sounds great? Okay, thank you, Paul. You want to at least play 2 phrases, maybe 3, in each chorus. But the rest of the chorus, you are free to improvise. And if you don't have a lot of vocabulary yet, you can maybe play a major scale, or you can play some chords, or you could rest, of course. If the Italian game is the first time you encounter jazz language, then you don't have a lot to say yet, then you just take these things. That's great. But of course, I already have a lot of vocabulary. So I'm going to use my own vocabulary, but then also use the Italian game. I already know a lot of moves, but I'm going to use ideas from the Italian game inside of this. Let me play a little bit of the theme so we get the song, so you know what song it is. Okay, improvise. Hello, Joel. Andre. Like that, you know. And it's a lot of fun to do. Of course, I probably won't go as smoothly as I'm doing right now, because of course I have a lot of experience plugging in stuff like that, like this. But the point or the trick is, which is still difficult, is try to make an organic solo where it doesn't really show that you're plugging in phrases. You still play some kind of nice thing, and then you try to fit the phrases with whatever it is that you're playing already. And now this was maybe quite complicated, but you could also play a very simple solo and do it. So let me try 2 choruses of a very simple solo. So not too many ideas. You see what happened there is I started playing the Christophe changes. And he was like, you know what? Let's go to the turnarounds. Stuff like that, right? These kind of things should happen organic, or you could make a plan. You could say, okay, let's try to play the Christophe changes, but change the ending. Also, I played the 2-5-1 phrase now, which I never did in the first try. So let's try to end the video, to end the stream. Let's try some. Let's give an example of a plan. Let's do, okay, so we have a turnaround here with a 5 phrase before. Let's change the 5 phrase to this 5 phrase. So maybe we could play this part. So, and then play the turnarounds. Yeah, we're jumping on the guitar, but it's just an exercise. And then let's make it even more complicated. So we play the turnaround, and then we go, when we get here to the F, so let's play the bluesy thing. Something like that. So let's try to play a chorus that we do that idea. Phrase, blues. Okay, that's it. So that's the assignment. Take this Italian game, and if you want the tab, there's 2 ways to get it. I will put it in my Discord for the people that own Book 7. So in the Book 7 section. And I will also upload this on my Patreon. Because I didn't make content for my Patreon for a long time. So this exact PDF, including the backing track. And the backing track is very handy. Because you get... you can see the chords, but you can make loops. And it goes on forever. So, are there any questions in the chat? And for next time, I don't have to go through over all of these phrases, right? Because we can just continue and we take a more challenging tune. And Gian Compuesto, who is a member of my Discord, he's a jazz super grandmaster, somebody that finished my book. He suggested lots of tunes that we can use. So, for instance, There Will Never Be Another You, he suggested, Them Their Eyes, Hungaria for a fast tune. I was also thinking myself, a tune like What's the Thing Called Love is also a great tune to do. And then a more challenging tune like All or Nothing at All, for instance. And we could even do, maybe we could try something like Stablemates at the end. You know, like a really challenging tune to see if we could make headway of these phrases. I have a phrase, what's my favorite cheese? My favorite cheese? I like all French cheese.